Hey everybody, Dustin here from Backcountry Cuisine, and this year I'm going to do some winter camping series videos and all kinds of stuff, from how do you build a kitchen in the snow to stove selection and cooking and different options that you can do, and whether one stove or two stoves, or how do you make all those choices. And then, but today I'm going to start off with stove stands. So what do you do, and what's the stove stand for, and why would you bring one? And who cares?
So this has been going for about an hour, and I want to show you what happens when you don't use any kind of stove stand. Now, like I said, it's been going for an hour and has not fallen over yet, but I don't know if you can tell, there's a definite lean to the pot. It's sinking down on one side more than the other. It actually did better than I thought it would. But let me show you what we got going on under here. Turn off the stove. So it has sunk down, melted out a hole underneath it, and it actually makes some pretty cool little icicle patterns in here as it freezes and melts and refreezes. But the upshot is, over time, and I've had it happen before when I wasn't really paying attention and forgot my stove stand, I've had the pot tip over. So ideally, you always have some kind of pot support and some sort of stove support underneath, so you don't get this divot in the snow where you've been.
All right, let me show you the different type of stove stands you can have. I've got lots of them that I brought out. At the highest end, you can get proprietary stove stands. So this is one that I don't remember who made it. I got this 20 years ago, something like that. Super heavy duty. It's going to last a long time. There's little leg clips here so that the Whisper Light will clip in to this spot here. The fuel bottle gets held right in here, so everything stays together as a nice tight unit. Very nice. A little on the heavy side though, heaviest of all. Very durable, very expensive. Remember, right? It was like $60 or something like that for one of these. I don't use this anymore. You could also, let's go to cheap end of the spectrum now. You can take a little piece of Insulite pad and cut it out and use that. The problem is you will get a melted hole in the middle of this thing. It will work great though. It'll continue to work. It's not rigid, so it'll allow the stove to kind of do some bending and weird funky things, so it could still have the tilting thing. But if you've got an old one of these, that's what I did with this. It's just an old pad I cut up. That can work great. If you got a friend with a saw, or you go to Home Depot and you ask them to cut something down for you, you can get some really thin 1/8 inch hardy board stuff here, and cut that down and use that. Works awesome, works great. You might get a little bit of a burn mark right here. No big deal at all. Totally works awesome. The problem is with this particle board stuff is it will soak up the snow and the water. So you do want to cover it with something. I just wanted to show you what the wood looked like. What I cover it with is foil tape. So I get that ductwork foil metal tape and I cover that. That way the tape stays on really tight. With this one I don't know if you can see it, but I cut out a ring in the center so it's a little bit lighter. I cut off the edges so they wouldn't be sharp points in my pack to poke through a tent or a sleeping bag or in the side of my pack. Just reduces that chances of that. And you also have a reflective surface then, so some of that heat will reflect back up because it's a reflective surface. The other thing I did was I cut little holes in at the feet here so that my Whisper Light legs will have a place to kind of sit in. Now it's not perfect. It's not like they're gonna really lock in place, but it gives them a little place to nest in, so it has a lower chance to slip around. Normally these things are really slippery on these kind of boards, so having a little place for the legs to kind of set in is handy to have and keeps them a little bit more stable. This is my preferred choice if I'm looking for ultimate instability. It's lighter than this guy here. Probably comes in, well, a little bit lighter, I know that. Especially when you cut out the center. If you don't cut out the center and you wrap it with aluminum foil, it works great. A little bit heavier, super cheap. This is basically less than $1 worth of stuff. So that's nice. But of course, you just got to buy a bigger piece of wood. You might be able to get away with just a pie pan. Take a pie pan. You can either cut off the outside rim piece here and just have the flat metal part, but again, it's not going to give you much rigidity. It's not going to give you much support. Will reflect back some heat, so that's good. You're still going to have some sinking because the heat will still conduct through the metal and melt the snow, so it's still going to sink the stove down into the snow slower than without it. And this is the lightest and probably cheapest option. Basically, these are free if you can find anybody who had a Pi recently. Then my favorite, because it is lightweight, not as light as the Pi Pan, but it works great. I put a piece of carbon felt inside of a Pi Pan. So I took one of these Pi Pans, I cut it out, and then folded over the edges, and then did some of that foil tape around the outside. I could have covered up the center part here. I just wanted to show you that there's this carbon felt material in there. So this not only gives some pretty good rigidity, but it also insulates. The carbon felt is an awesome insulator. So the snow with a stove will not sink down as you cook with it and you use it. It can go for a couple hours and it will not sink down very much. It might sink down just a tiny bit, but basically not at all. Because it's got these little bumps and things on it, it tends to stick a little bit better in place, tends to stay better a little bit in place. Not as good as this one. So if you're looking for the ultimate rigidity and strength, this will definitely not melt through. This has got enough insulation, it will not go through. This is lighter though, about half the weight, and so this is the one I'm going with. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, just leave a little comment in the links below, in the comment section below. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you like it a lot, subscribe, check out my other videos, and we'll catch you on the trail next time. See ya!